I wanted to get to a quote here from Kevin Garnett that led to a quote from Udonis Haslem.
The big ticket, UD.
Garnett said of the Miami Heat, of Jimmy Butler, of Bam Adebayo, it's over. Their window's closed.
That's a shitty thing to find out. I mean, your window is
closed. From Kevin Garnett?
Yes.
Right. Well, Udonis Haslem does not agree. I'm not sure Udonis Haslem's window will ever close. It has to be amazing to Kevin Garnett that Udonis Haslem is responding to this and still wearing a Heat uniform. It has to be really confounding. And Haslem's response was, no matter what you say, it won't change that ass whooping y'all took in the day. I know a lot about windows closing because we slammed y'all shit and locked y'all suckers out forever, ever. Hashtag 6 games in, you're already hating.
How many other tweets are with that hashtag?
Yeah, really.
That's why UD's on the roster, man.
He earned his salary right there just responding to Kevin Garnett.
I mean, Paul Pierce looks like a completely different person right now. He's been waiting around so long for that Heat window to close. And UD's actually had the right banter. He closed his window not just in Boston, but also in Brooklyn. And it's been a long time since these guys have been on the court. Meanwhile, Udonis is setting like career highs in minutes. What is happening? Are we actually tanking?
I mean, the Miami Heat, when you look at the data, it's 7 games now. It's not very much. They're taking an enormous number of mid-range jumpers, and they're shooting it okay, but it's the shot everybody wants you to take. They don't want you doing things at the rim. They don't want you taking three-pointers.
He's played 10 minutes, Mike.
What I said.
I mean, he played against Sacramento, and I didn't.
He got 8 in that game.
He's getting in games early.
Why? I didn't understand why he was in the game. I don't know what it is that happened.
Farewell tour.
What do you mean? It's going to be a farewell tour for as long as he'd like it to be.
I know, but how long can he go?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? He's younger than Brady.
That's insane.
Wow.
That's insane.
I mean,
by 4 years, actually.
I mean, well, that's fair. That's fair comment. But I just read something that Venus Williams put out, some sort of a social media thing implying that she's retiring. And the story about it was like shocking. She's 42. I mean, at some point you got to go, all right, if Brady announces I'm retiring again, is anybody surprised? No.
He's got the most passing yards in the NFL this season.
I know, but it only costs him a marriage
while
and
dealing
a family.
With,
I mean,
I know, but he has the most passing yards while dealing with a divorce.
I know, yeah.
And with the devil, because he's 45 years old.
He's a multitasker.
And he leads the league in passing yards. I mean, I'm happy to have you in town to analyze what's happening with the Miami Heat as Mike Ryan takes time out from tailgates to text me that they stink because he's emotional about this team and they haven't looked very good. They didn't look good at home. They went on the road, and he was mad that they were down by 30 at one point to Sacramento, and Udonis Haslem was getting minutes.
Yes, I'm privy to these texts as well, Dan. The funny thing to me is while the offense is not great right now, that's the part I'm not worried about because I think they have enough good offensive players that they'll figure it out.
You worry about the defense.
Their defense is awful.
But since when?
Awful.
They've been top 10. What is it, 5 of the last 6 years or 6 of the last 7?
They're not that this year.
No, Spo said that after the home opener.
They're
like immediately he said our defense is not where it needs to be right now.
And they're not able to they're not able to cut people off. You're getting a lot of stuff going straight to the rim. 2, there don't seem to be a lot of recognition of kind of things like, for instance, the home opener, DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, he actually wants to get to that spot. And to let Caleb Martin just kind of flail by himself there, not exactly the best defensive game plan or execution. But then the other thing is they're awful rebounding the ball. If you look up and down, I think Tyler Hero is one of their best defensive rebounders.
He is a good rebounder.
Shouldn't happen, but that shouldn't happen. Bam Adebayo should be cleaning glass. Jimmy Butler should be a lot better. And so I think part of it is they're not getting stops. And part of it is even when they do get stops, they're giving up offensive rebound after offensive
But what's
rebound.
happening there, because I'm surprised to hear you say that you're worried about the defense, is that Hero starting and no PJ Tucker? Like what? Because I would not worry about their defense just based on they always coach up defense.
To me, I don't know. I look at Idris, and I don't see the same sort of verve that he's had in prior years in terms of being dominant defensively. He seems to be very enamored with being an offensive talent while also not being an offensive talent out there. I see maybe Jimmy Butler's losing a step, maybe a little bit. I don't know, but I know that
they're playing Caleb Martin at a different position. They don't have Victor Oladipo off the bench. Who
that helps actually.
Yeah,
PJ
but no,
Tucker.
I know what you mean on team defense. But look, in the playoffs, on the ball defending, he played right into some of the greatest weaknesses of the Boston Celtics, and he was pretty incredible in stretches.
Tyler Hero is their second leading rebounder. That's not good.
It's not.
That
But
should not happen.
It's deceptive though. Like he's a really good rebounder for his
But
position.
second leading.
But he should not be rebounding better on the defensive glass as a percentage.
Yeah.
Caleb
then-
Martin is our second big man, right? That's the issue. Like after Bam, who's our second? Deadman's been
Udonis.
terrible.
It's not necessary. That's why Udonis has been coming.
Deadman has been terrible.
10 minutes.
Deadman's done.
The plus minus minutes when Bam was on the court over the first 5 or 6 games, he was they were
Idris.
good when he was on the court, and when he was off the court, Deadman was a Deadman.
But it's to me, it's not hard to figure out what's happening. You look at the roster; they didn't get better year over year. They lost pieces, and the pieces that they're counting on, like Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, a year older, and you're counting on Idris to take a leap that I don't think he's got another leap in him. So this is all on Tyler Hero right now to ascend to a level that I don't think is good enough. And we were talking about. They're going to have a fight to get into the play-in right now if something doesn't drastically change.
I think Adebayo has a leap in him, but it's very Anthony Davis-esque where it's like, why are you so complacent with what you are right now? He's got it in him. He's so talented. And that was one of the things I said earlier this season. I think after the second or third game, I said, maybe the key is you play Lowry less, you make Adebayo be the focal point on the offense, creating off the dribble like he was before Lowry got here. Maybe that'll get him engaged and more kind of invested in the game. Big men sometimes need that. They need to feel loved offensively in order to bring it on the other end. Maybe that's it. But to me, I think you've always said, Mike, that the leap is with him, right? That you compared him to Giannis a couple years ago. And while I thought that was a lofty expectation to say the least, I agree with you in that that's where this team goes, because otherwise it's, you're counting on what, Jimmy to tough it out like with some ISOs and stuff like that. That's not enough.
So, I mean, true or false, in today's NBA, you're not going to compete for a championship if 33-year-old Jimmy Butler is your best player. He's got to be second or even third best for you to be a championship
We've been saying
contender.
that for a while, and they have exceeded our expectations there, where they're right there playing for, championship games.
I think the big thing is, Greg, you're not going to compete for a championship if you need Jimmy to be that every night. People poo-poo the regular season. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. It does. That's how we get to the playoffs. So, when you're constructing a roster, there's a part of this where you need like a middle reliever, someone who's just going to eat up these regular season games against Sacramento, against Charlotte, against Utah. You need someone who's going to come in and carry through those days. With Jimmy being older and Jimmy's style of play, which is very physical, it's not realistic to think that he's going to do that for you every night. So that's where Idris and Tyler need to come in, and they need to be those every night guys. And then Jimmy can be a hero a couple of nights here in the regular season, a big game there against the Nets or whatever, and then in the playoffs get his stuff done. But if you need him to be that guy every night, you're in trouble because that's just not realistic.
And that's why, isn't it? That's why they want Bam all of a sudden to take more shots, to be more aggressive, to score more. Not because they think he can, but because they need him to.
They got that last year. They won games that they shouldn't have won. They had guys in and out of the lineup. Jimmy Butler wasn't particularly exceptional in the regular season. In the postseason, he surprised us yet again. Like, they did all the things that Amin is asking this team to do last year. I just don't think that they're capable year over year. They're worse. And by the way, Gabe Vincent's a better basketball player right now than Kyle Lowry.
Yeah,
he's just a flatly a better basketball player and a better option for them.
He's a better fit for sure. I don't know if he's a better basketball player. I don't want to disrespect Kyle Lowry that hard, but I will say for what this team is right now, Gabe Vincent's a better fit. And I think the sooner they start to move away from that, but again, that's not Spo's strong point. Saying goodbye to vets, right? He has an infatuation with the vet, particularly the vet that killed us once upon a time.
Let me ask you guys this question, because the sport has changed so much that I am legitimately having trouble with my measurements and evaluations, because when Dwayne Dedmon comes down the court and someone who looks like him stops and pops at the top of the three-point line, I'm like, okay, that's good for a backup center. I want that. And when he's on the court defensively, I have a real hard time measuring individual defense in that sport. I can see it in the obvious circumstances, but I don't know why it is Dwayne Dedmon is bad at defense.
The mechanic.
He's traditionally.
What happened?
Traditional. That's his name. That's true. That is
Thank
his
you.
nickname.
Yep.
Traditionally, he's been a good defensive player, but again, Dwayne Dedmon's no spring chicken. Like, there's a part of this where, Dwayne Dedmon's not as good as he used to be. Yeah, that's what happens in this game. And again,
he's 33. He was available to you a couple seasons ago because someone gave up on him. He's at that age.
High mileage.
I have a question. Why is he allowed to be the mechanic, but Bam hasn't earned the nickname Bam yet? Or has he not earned the nickname the mechanic?
it's a different standard for a role player, right? First of all. Second of all,
expectations, everything.
yeah, expectations. We're not asking Dwayne Dedmon to carry us. Also, for the most part, people call him Dwayne Dedmon or Dedmon. And when you bring up the mechanic, it's like the way Stugotz did. The mechanic, you kind of throw it as an aside. People call Idris Bam. Like, they refer to him all the time as Bam. It's like Magic Johnson. No one calls him Irvin Johnson. They call him Magic Johnson.
Well,
but Magic Johnson was
Michael
Magic.
Wilbon calls him Irvin.
Yeah.
He does.
That's true.
true.
That's a
Yes,
good point.
he does.
Is that a look at me, Louie, on Mike Wilbon?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
That,
Yes.
I know
I
him
know him so well.
Yeah.
I call him
Right.
Irvin.
They're
Yeah.
calling Abe Lincoln Abraham. You know, who does that?
Right.